Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today it's a Monday, so we are back in the geography channel. Today we are back to the Empire series, and today I spun a wheel. And as you can see, this wheel landed on the country of Djibouti. So this is gonna be a really different scenario because Djibouti is a small country surrounded by bigger ones. The nearest smallest country to it would be like Qatar, which is like really far from it. And well, this wheel meant that Djibouti is going to be forming an empire today, which means they're gonna get stronger and invade other countries, which is gonna be a bit hard for them, but you'll see. So throughout this video, Djibouti will be colored as red because they're forming the empire. Also, the countries on Djibouti's team would be also red if they're allies and they're fighting a war together. Alliances like NATO or CSTO or EU or any other defensive alliance will be disbanded throughout this video because war is no longer accepted in the modern day. So that's why we have alliances. I guess the Arab League will be disbanded. I don't know. I think it's like that, right? Not having Djibouti, but I think this is the Arab League. I'm not sure about Turkey. I don't think Iran. I'm not sure about Yemen or Syria. But yeah, the Arab League is gonna be disbanded. Like, no one can defend no one. This is just a normal war scenario where Djibouti is gonna be forming an empire. So next thing, Djibouti is gonna be a bit buffed because it's not gonna be easy for them to be forming an empire in 2024. So I guess let's just get started. Djibouti is a pretty unique country. In here there are military bases from countries like Germany, Italy, France, the UK, the US, Russia, China, India, Australia, Brazil, I think, and many other more. So they can get help from other countries and do a bit of blackmail if they wanted to. Also, they have one little neighbor called Eritrea, which is worse than North Korea. They violate every single human right and they are strictly communist. So that could be help for them. And they border Somaliland that is trying to break away from Somalia. Maybe they could take advantage of that too. They border Ethiopia, a perfectly fine country, but they're surrounded by other enemies like Egypt, I guess Sudan then, and I think Somaliland or Somalia, one of them. Do not like Ethiopia. I'm trying to learn my geography here, guys. Bear with me. So Djibouti is in a pretty interesting situation. Also, they border Yemen, country with a lot of terrorist movement. I think they're in a terrorist war. They have a lot of terrorist activity and organizations in here. They actually support Hamas, a terrorist organization in Israel. So Yemen can also be a target for Djibouti. So they are in a really interesting situation here with 4 countries that they can take advantage from. Let's just see. First, they ally up with Ethiopia. I don't know if they're allies, but Ethiopia hating Eritrea, they want that coastline back. They want the country back, and the world would seriously not care if Eritrea disappeared. So guess what's happening? Djibouti, they have prepared for this for a while. They cross the border into Eritrea and try to get as much land until Ethiopia steps in. So they can like get most of this coastline, and then they can get into like here until the Ethiopian army comes in, and they are really happy and glad to do this. They say fine to Djibouti. This is not a really big claim. While Ethiopia wants to cut them in half, this whole part surrenders to them, and the rest is here. They capture the capital and they go north, capture the entire coastline. They're already having beach parties here, and Eritreans try to flee to Sudan. That is not working. Ethiopians say they'll happily accept all the Eritrean refugees and they'll let them live here. So, and Ethiopia has had a claim to this territory for a long time now, so they are really glad that they could get it back. And with all the human rights violation, the whole world is glad glad that Ethiopia can get this land back to themselves. And in this peace treaty, Ethiopia is looking good and sharp, but they just have all the 1900 territory back to themselves because Djibouti's here and they're gonna be forming an empire and they already grew a bit. So then Djibouti is gonna say thanks to Ethiopia, bye, and formal relations with Ethiopia are done. They just fought a war on the same team and had fun a little bit, but now they're done because Djibouti is gonna be taking advantage of another one of their neighbors, which is Somalia. They're gonna be helping fund rebel groups from Somaliland, and they try to declare their independence again. This is put down by Somalia's government and very aggressively put down. So other countries start saying that they shouldn't be so aggressive. And since Djibouti has a lot of money from these other countries, yeah, it goes down to this. So Somaliland declares their independence for a 16th time or something. And the world is starting to give more support to Somaliland. And then Djibouti stops all formal relations with Somaliland, but they fund them a bit more. So Somaliland and Somalia fight a really complicated war over here, and I don't know what Ethiopia's opinion is on this war, but I'm not going to include it today. Somaliland managed to cut Somalia into two. I don't know if they could be doing this in real life, but this isn't supposed to be realistic. This part does not give up though, as they push them back really well, and then they cut them off themselves, and there you go, they are cut off. And then Somalia tries to go back with themselves. This part in the west is really not well protected, so they can grab that back, which means the east is really well protected. They make some bombardments all along Somaliland's invasions, but Somaliland is really weak right now, so a country decides to take advantage of that, and that country is, you guessed it, Djibouti, making a surprise attack to their allies. They won't call themselves allies anymore because they're literally attacking them, but they are still funding them to attack Somalia over here. And so it's a pretty weird situation, as they're not in war with Somalia, they're just in war with Somaliland, as they recognized Somaliland as a nation. They've got Ethiopian access to pass through, and they can pass through Somalia to help them get Somaliland to surrender. But then troops from Somaliland are funded over here in the east to try to get their independence from Somalia. This is a pretty weird situation. They are able to manage to do this, and they try to cut the Djiboutians off from them, and as well as the Somalis. And then troops from Djibouti manage to cross through the Somaliland claim, and they are going deep into the territory they just invaded, and they can connect with this other piece. They thank Ethiopia for that. And then Somalia try to push back at Somaliland, giving the middle finger to Djibouti as they declare war on Djibouti. They manage to do this until it stalemates the border, but with Djibouti's constant funding, you can see a Somaliland rebel group appear here, and it starts invading down south. So Djibouti is funding Somaliland while they attack it, and then Djibouti just call it peace and say, we're done, thank you. Okay guys, so in this peace treaty, it's gonna be weird. So Somaliland get their independence, but it's here, and Somalia stays here. So I guess we're ruining the dreams of both, not just Somalia or not just Somaliland. But next thing they do is they declare war on Yemen. And you know what else they do? They convince Saudi Arabia to be in a separate team, Israel to be in a separate team, and so many countries to support Israel. I mean, not all these. So automatically all these countries support Israel because of the terrorism here, and so I guess somebody also joins. Another means Egypt joined too, and they're all against Yemen and Palestine. Iran is heavily leaning to the blue team, and the UAE either would join in Israel's team or in the purple team, but I guess they would join in the purple team, like with their Arab friends. I don't know what I just did. Oh, Oman. I forgot about Oman. So we've created a global war. Guess who else is heavily leaning towards the blue team? And all the other countries decide to stay neutral. Ooh, I forgot Azerbaijan. Love Azerbaijan, great country. After the UAE, my favorite Arab country or Muslim country. So, troops from Djibouti cross the Gulf towards Yemen, and I think it's like this. Wait, I don't know how it is, but half of the country rebel against Yemen. I guess it's this one because this one controls the Gulf and stuff. So, it's really hard for Djibouti because they're getting bombed and bombed. Hostages are taken and everything. I'm sorry if this is a bit sensitive to some people. Palestine is gone, also with the help of the purple team. Gaza's also gone. Yemen is heavily getting supplied by Iran, Syria, and Lebanon. Lebanon then decide to join this war. Actually, first thing they do is invade towards the north of Israel. Let me tell you something, bad idea. Guys, just don't invade Israel. Someone pulled Syria into this war. That was Jordan, just wanting to finish off Lebanon. Israel can finish off the extended Golan Heights. And with the help of Saudi Arabia and Egypt, Syria is gone too. Saudi Arabian troops come from the north, flood into Yemen. Yemen cannot stand the Saudi troops. Saudi Arabia is at peace with Djibouti, if you wanted to know. And south, I guess this is south or north, I don't know. South or north Yemen, I don't know. Also managed to make a little push. They do not touch Saudi Arabia though. And Yemen is forced to surrender after that. Okay, so in this peace treaty, let's call it the Treaty of Abu Dhabi. Syria and Lebanon are left to bits, mostly Lebanon. Lebanon declare that they cannot continue living like this, so they unite with Syria, as even their capital of Beirut is split between Jordan, which got a lot from Syria and Lebanon, and Israel, which got a bit. They couldn't get more because then it would get really unstable, you know? So that's Syria. Egypt got Gaza back. I don't know if they would want that, but they did. Saudi Arabia, they got a bit from Yemen. Oman and the United Arab Emirates got a lot of money from participating in the war from Yemen. This part of Yemen, I don't know if it's north or south because it's supposed to be east or west, but this eastern part from Yemen, I guess it would be north. It gets liberated from the rest of Yemen, and this part here is given to Djibouti. Next thing Djibouti do is declare war on Somaliland, and troops from Djibouti immediately flood into Somaliland without Somalia having the chance to lift a pen. They surrender, and Djibouti get to annex it all. Ooh, next thing they do is play. They call in Egypt and Sudan, as well as Somalia, for some reason they say yes, to invade their old buddy Ethiopia. Ethiopia's allies, like South Sudan, the DRC, Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Kenya, all of the East African Federation countries, they are scared, so they don't do anything. Djibouti's vassal, and I'll call it East Yemen, even though it must be north or south, they have to join this war because they're the vassal, and Djibouti called them in. And this happens very quickly. Ethiopia's glory is sadly gone again. An Eritrean rebel group leave and rebel group rebel. And Sudan can make a really good push into Ethiopia. I don't know if Sudan is an ally of Ethiopia, but Djibouti make a big push from their land. And since they've got access to the American troops and other troops, they're saying that they're here to liberate Ethiopia is now becoming an imperialist government, and so the other countries are just dumb. They're like, okay, do it. I don't know if they would supply Djibouti or give them troops, but I don't know. Troops from Somalia also come in, and Ethiopia lose their capital and they surrender. Since, in a way, Djibouti led this war, they got the most land, but Sudan got a little land off of Ethiopia. They did not get any of Eritrea because They didn't want any of Eritrea to rebel. Djibouti didn't, and they wanted to take close care of that. Somalia expanded themselves to here. It's weird, I know. And Egypt was able to do stuff with the Nile, blue, white Nile. I don't know what it is, but they got to do whatever they want, and they got compensation from the war, a lot of money. And so Djibouti want to do one last thing before they finish this. They partner up with Sudan to invade South Sudan. Yemen is not called onto this war because it's been a long time, so I don't think they would be called into this war. But Djibouti won't ask for them to be called anyway because they can do this. So South Sudan went through a lot to exist. So now they just need to survive. And they were ready for this because they thought Sudan would do this. So they've got troops lined up all over the border to protect themselves. But they did not know about the Djibouti part. Where's Juba City? Let's say they capture it. I don't really know where it is, but please forgive me. I just know that Juba City is the capital of South Sudan. So that's fine. They cut the country into two. Djibouti is OP. The South are forced to surrender, and troops come in from the north, and Sudan is able to push them all back, meaning they come back to their own territory. But troops from Sudan also cross, and if they didn't capture Juba City yet, then they just did, because South Sudan is forced to surrender, and they're crying because they took a while to get independence, but at the end they're not independent. I mean, they were independent since 2011, so that's fine, right? I think that Sudan get back on that 10th largest country in the world position, or I hope, aka largest country in Africa, but they lost South Sudan, so it became Algeria. But now that they got half of South Sudan back and a bit from Ethiopia, maybe they're back to being number one and Algeria's number two. I don't know, but I certainly know that Djibouti just got really bigger, and I guess I'm gonna call it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this scenario. Just note that this is not made to be anything real. It's just a fake little scenario for fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love y'all so much, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!